Welcome to another edition of Wildcat Country. Eric Cohen and Shane Dale, and as always, it's a pretty good week here. A lot of interesting things happening, but the best part of this week on the 101st episode of Wildcat Country is we have one of our favorite guests who is back. Now, we asked last week, Shane and I did, and we did a contest on Twitter. Congratulations to our two winners. Who's your favorite guest that comes on Wildcat Country or has come on Wildcat Country? And you guys responded with a bunch of different names, which was awesome. One of our favorite guests is Scooby Wright, who is now starring for the Birmingham team.
USFL star.
Yes, in the USFL. And so we're really excited to sit down with Scooby. And the reason that Scooby is one of Shane's and my favorite, and I'm sorry to speak for you, Shane, but I think you'll agree. The reason he's one of our favorite interviews is because it's like three guys that are sitting at a bar just talking.
Yeah.
And that's always with our interviews with Scooby. It's like that. And one thing I really appreciate with him. So we're really looking forward to talking with him later in the show.
Yeah. Well, it's, we get like with Scooby and Willie Tuitama and some of the other, especially on the football side.
Yeah.
We've been fortunate enough to have on the show. Basically, they're telling us about their playing days, and we're reminiscing of what it was like to watch them, as fanboys from our seats. And it's kind of just a roundtable discussion more than an interview. And so I'm hoping that I'm sure this chat with Scooby will be the same way, and excited to talk. I mean, it's great timing for us as well. By the way, Scooby loves his ice shaker bottle.
Yes,
we'll get to that as well. But I want to see how he enjoys living down south in Birmingham, and if he still has plans to go back to MMA and be a firefighter after this. But I'm hoping 3 times a charm with Scooby, because he played in the AAF, Alliance of American Football. That season got canceled. Played in the XFL, season got canceled. Hopefully the USFL sees it through, and hopefully Birmingham, which is the only undefeated team left, goes on and wins the whole thing. So
and he's really turned into a social media star in this league. I mean, he's almost the face. Like, I'll be honest, I haven't watched a bunch of USFL games or much of it at all, which is surprising for me. But I can't tell you many other players in that league other than Scooby Wright.
I know Scooby, and I know the drone shots.
Yes,
on the kicks, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Although I wonder if it freaks out the kickers a little bit, just knowing that a drone's going to follow your kick there. But anyway,
it's what if a drone ever interfered with the kick?
I was going to say, like, what if a kick gets blocked? What if it gets blocked into the drone? Is it just a dead ball there? Do they have rules for that?
Yeah, it's a little risky.
We should spend the whole show talking about that.
Now we'll go to our buy or sell, which is presented by Ice Shaker, which you just spoke of, Shane, and check out our friends at Ice Shaker, iceshaker.com. Get one of these awesome Wildcat Country ice shakers. If you go to iceshaker.com and you search Wildcat Country, you can get one of these, and the other water bottle that Shane is holding up here if you're watching the video feed. And if you use promo code Wildcat Country, capital W, capital C, you will get $5 off. And these things are legit. And we will have our friend Chris Gronkowski join us in a few weeks to talk more about Ice Shaker, his sponsorships of Arizona athletes, and of course his playing days. I'm sure we'll break down more of the 2008 Las Vegas Bowl.
How much NIL money could the Gronks have made back in the day?
Yeah, we'll have to ask Chris about that. I'm sure Rob could have gotten his share. I don't know if Chris feels that he would have made a ton. We'll have to ask him about that. But check out iceshaker.com. And now let's start with buy or sell. Now, we have 4 regular questions, Shane, and then I have 3 bonus questions.
Oh, good. So 4 that I know about, 4 that I was able to prep for, and 3 that you're going to blindside me with.
Yep. Okay. Number 1, TikTok, Shane. I'm getting nervous and anxious that Arizona's 22-23 roster, men's basketball roster, has not improved over this week. Are you nervous? Are you buying the nervousness or selling it?
So is this going to be a question every week now?
Every week.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm still going to sell, Eric. I think that the Tommy Lloyd regime is biding its time. And I think they have some people in particular in mind who they want to bring on board. I will say this. The only thing that does concern me is I'm wondering if some of like the top potential transfers are talking to other schools and saying, hey, do you really want to go to Arizona? Do you know they might not have a scholarship for you? That this decision with the IRP is coming down soon. And so maybe that may be an issue, but it really wasn't last year when Tommy Lloyd brought in 3 solid transfers. They all came off the bench, but they were all very important. And Pella Larson, Umar Ballo, and Justin Kier. The first of those 2 of those 3 are going to be important next season and beyond. So that's the only thing that's kind of stuck in the back of my head is I'm wondering if some potential transfers are worried about that situation. And beyond that, if they're going to get an additional postseason ban on top of that, which I don't think they will, but who knows?
Well,
but,
here's the other thing though.
Yeah.
So we're Dalen Terry probably going to come back. We don't know. Is Koloko for sure gone? Like, do we know this?
I didn't see anything about him having an option to return. So I think, the language that he used versus Dalen Terry seems very different. So it sounds like Koloko is gone.
So then why is Tommy Lloyd not getting another big man?
How do you know he's not working on that?
Well, because, we're looking at like these big transfer names and we're not seeing Arizona mentioned. I mean, I know it is what it is. You take it with a grain of salt at social media. I'm just more concerned. I mean, I'm buying this just because I'm concerned and I freak out over little things. We know that. I just wanted to see more action at this point in the game. 6 weeks post game or something like that of the last Arizona game? Nothing's happened.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know exactly what goes on behind the scenes. I'm picturing Tommy Lloyd and his staff having this big board of, recruiting or transfer wish lists of guys that they want to bring on board. And maybe there's some guys who aren't sure they're going to come, or they haven't got a chance to talk to them yet. And you don't want to fill a roster with someone just to say you filled it if you have someone else in mind. You also don't want to wait too long and miss your opportunity. So I'm sure it's between that and, of course, the uncertainty with the number of scholarships you're going to have going forward. It's a balancing act, I'm sure. But I'm not any more concerned this week than I was last week.
Okay.
We'll take it week by week. We revisit this each week. That's fine. I think that's totally legitimate.
All right.
But I am still confident. I think Tommy Lloyd and his staff have earned the confidence from us that they'll be able to fill these gaps left by Ben Mathurin and Christian Koloko and fill them effectively.
All right. So thus far, if you're keeping track at home, we've Mathurin's gone. Koloko is probably gone. Terry's a maybe, probably coming back. Shane Noel is transferring, not really a big loss there.
And Kyer's gone.
Kyer's gone, right? Yeah. Dylan Anderson coming in, who was apparently, I was talking to somebody who actually watched, his high school games here in Phoenix, said the guy's a star. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, what's interesting real quick, Eric, is his, I don't know how much this means, but his like the top 100, I forget exactly where he's ranked now, but he's actually come down a bit. So recruiting analysts aren't as high on Dylan Anderson as they were a year ago. He's still a top 100 guy and you never know, but just throwing that out there.
And then they got the other European guy that Shane and I don't want to try to pronounce his name. We'll
say his name.
We'll let Matt Moreno the next time we have him on. Okay. So number 2, Lauren Fields. The new women's basketball transfer, buy or sell?
I'll put me on the spot. I will, I guess innocent until proven guilty. I will buy until sold. How's that?
Why wouldn't this be a screaming buy?
Well, because she's coming from a bad team, Eric. Oklahoma State went 9-20 last season. Okay. So she was, you could say, big fish, small ponds. Yeah, she was absolutely.
Yeah.
So between that and the fact that a lot of the transfers who came in last year for Dia Barnes didn't really make a lot of noise. We'll see. I'll buy it. I think it's a great addition. I'm just the idea. I think if people think that she's going to come in and put up the same numbers at Arizona when you already have some stars there and you have some big names coming in, I'm going to guess she's going to be more like, maybe first player off the bench kind of player, which is good. I mean, it's important, but I don't necessarily think that she's going to be, at the same level as maybe Kate Reese or even Shayna Pellington, but I hope she makes me eat my words. But when I look at Oklahoma State's record, I'm a little wary of thinking she's going to be a star at Arizona.
Here's why I'm buying: scoring. Arizona really struggled to put the ball in the hoop last year, really struggled. Without Ari McDonald and then Kate Reese when she was hurt, Arizona really struggled.
Yeah,
somebody that knows how to score. That's all I need to see. Buy. I think this makes Arizona Final Four team? No, but I think it's a great addition.
It's a great addition for sure. But I'm just saying, people think, oh, we got another star. I mean, she was second team all Big 12, which is great. It's great. But again, look at the team. It's kind of a, it's a poor comparison, but it's the only one I could think of is Terrell Brown at Arizona versus Washington. Just think of it like that.
Okay, fair. Yeah. I mean, he's great at Washington. At Arizona, he was all right. Okay, bonus question number 1. I'll just insert it in here.
Oh, good.
It was announced on Monday that the gradient uniforms are going by the wayside. Are you buying this change or selling it?
What do you think? I am buying. This is the easiest buy in the history of buy or sell. Yes. You know what? I didn't mind the grading as much on the red and blue uniforms, which is the ones they showed in that little video that they posted.
Yeah.
On the white uniforms, the gradient, I hated that with a passion. What's the point of doing that on a white jersey? I hated it. So if those were gone just on the white, I'd be fine. Red and blue, it's okay. It's not necessary. So I'll buy it. Of course, we need to see what the uniforms will look like. If they just go back to the previous iteration, I'd be fine with that. Or if they want to go with a slightly more retro look that they had in late 90s, early 2000s, I'd be okay with that.
I think that's the way to go, Shane. Yeah, I think the retro look. And I think at this point, I mean, it's one thing for football jerseys because those I feel like stand out with the helmets, everything like that. Basketball jerseys, I mean, like I'd be honest, they're probably going to get crap for this take. I don't like the Suns, all their jerseys. Just keep it plain. I don't need the Rally the Valley jersey. Give me the Suns jerseys.
You like the old school one with the Phoenix print? Yeah. Loved
it. No, yeah. The ones, my favorite jerseys that the Suns had were when Barkley came on in '93 and they had the new arena and everything. Those were, and they bring them back as the retro. I mean, those were the best, and they make them worse as we go along here.
Well, there's just so many now on every team that it's all to sell merch and which it always has been, but yeah, and it's the same way in the college level to a certain extent as well.
Yeah, you notice that like jerseys in general are getting worse as we go along here. They're not getting better. Like when you think about when you think about like the greatest helmets, for example, in college football, there was a poll recently, I think Michigan helmet. It's been around for 80, 90 years. It's the simplest of helmets, but it's tradition. Green Bay Packers in the NFL, it's simple. The Bears, simple.
Well, what's interesting is and just pivoting to football, since you already did it, the most successful college football teams generally are the ones that aren't changing up their uniforms and have a dozen different ones.
Minus Oregon.
Yeah. Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ohio State. They've all stuck to the same uniforms. They don't need those gimmicks per se. I'm just going to throw one more thing out though, before I forget. I would love for this year's Territorial Cup game for Arizona to wear the old A on their helmets because they dominated ASU during that time. When I looked back when I think back to those helmets, I think of Chuck Cecil 106 yards or officially 100-yard return.
Not my favorite helmet. So that Arizona,
but I'm saying for that game because they dominated ASU during that period when they wore those helmets.
Okay, I respect that. All right, so if we talk to Jed at some point, hopefully, I would like you to bring that up.
I will.
I'm gonna. That's necessary. Okay. Let's move on to softball and baseball. Number 3, Arizona baseball or softball. So or whatever will a regional in the first round of the NCAA tournament this season. Buy or sell?
I'm going to sell that either of them will. And I think your question was host ready. You cut out for just a second there, but we'll roll with it. I just want to let you know because I'm sure everyone in our audience heard it. But yeah, your question is will either of them host a regional? I don't think so at this point. There are still chances for a lot of quality wins for both teams. Both teams playing in a loaded Pac-12, especially in softball or in baseball as well. Oregon State's number 2 in the country, and they always have a very good team. Both the Oregon schools do. So plenty of opportunities for more wins. Arizona baseball, real impressive home series, 3 out of 4 against a pretty good Nevada team. Softball team that was non-conference wins, but still. I think it's a little. Unless one of the two win out or come close to winning out, I think that the ship for hosting a regional has probably sailed. I think both of them will be in. So we talked about that last week, but I think they're both going to be traveling.
All right, here's what I'm going to say. Arizona, I think, has 9 games left. I know they play GCU. We're recording this on Tuesday before the GCU game, so we don't know the outcome of that. I know they play Oregon State 3 games at home. You mentioned how good they are. If they win 2 out of 3 there, and then let's say they win 2 out of 3 at Oregon, and then they win the Pac-12 tournament, which is in Scottsdale. I mean, I wouldn't see a reason why Arizona probably shouldn't be one in the top 16.
They absolutely could. Yeah. Well, and GCU as well, that their RPI is 1 spot last I checked ahead of Arizona's.
That's correct.
So that would be a quality win, obviously beating Oregon State. So yeah, they could. I just think it's going to be a really tough road. And I'm guessing they're not going to get a top 16.
And for all that we've talked about softball or haven't really this year, they're going to make the tournament and we're going to see. I mean, they probably won't go very far, but because of pitching, as we've discussed, Shane, but the fact that they're going to be in and we'll actually have another week to talk about them playing ball. So that'll be great.
They're loaded with hitting. They're
Yep.
just, like I said, next season they add a national top 10 pitcher. They're
have to.
Just like that. They're a College World Series contender.
Have to.
Seriously.
And you never know, Shane, if somebody gets hot, you get one of these pitchers who gets hot and goes on a run, you never know what happens there. Okay. Number 4, let's pivot to football here.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona football will average 27 or more points a game next season. Now, just giving you some basis for comparison, last year, Arizona averaged 17.2 points per game, and 7 Pac-12 teams averaged more than 27 in 2021. Will Arizona join that club in 2022?
I'll buy it. I think it's close, but I'll buy it because I think that this team is, like we talked about before, is capable of being in the top half in offense in the Pac-12, or at least hovering around that mark, which is what they would be doing in points. I think that the big difference, Arizona averaged just over 17 points a game last season. If they were a little bit better in the red zone, it'd be well over 20. And they were awful in the red zone. I don't think they're going to have those issues again next season. I think if nothing else, they're going to finish more drives. Like I mentioned before, they move the ball pretty well in between the 20s, and then they get stuck at the 1 or 2 yard line and just would find creative ways not to score. I don't think that's going to be as big an issue. So just for that reason, with the new weapons they have on offense, Jaden DeLora obviously is an improvement at quarterback. I think that 10 more points a game, it's a tougher schedule, so you have to consider that.
Right.
But I think that 27 is probably a good over-under spot, and I will go ahead and cautiously buy it.
And I'm going to cautiously sell this one.
Okay.
I just don't know how I feel about Arizona's offense being that explosive without having an NAU type team. I know Arizona only scored under 20 points against NAU last year, but on this year's schedule, you have, San Diego State, Mississippi State, and North Dakota State.
Yeah.
I don't see any of those being shootouts. Maybe Mississippi State if they get, in a track meet with the Mike Leach team. But outside of that, I don't see. To average 27 points a game, you got to have one of those games where you drop 40 or 50, right? And
that's a fair point. And I think what you're saying, and I guess I would agree with, is if it's this year's team with last year's schedule, that's a buy with the 27 points. But with this year's schedule, it could certainly be tougher. That's a good point.
It's a small sell at this point. We obviously need to know more. Okay.
I think 27 is a good buy or sell.
It's a good buy. Okay,
or good over under cutoff there.
Me in my next job as a lines maker. Good to know.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So 2 bonus questions related to football before we bring on Scooby. Number 1. So Arizona did not have a player selected in this year's NFL draft. I don't think last year either, or they probably haven't for a while. Actually, Gary Brightwell, I think, was the last one that was selected a couple years ago, right? That seemed about right to you. Was
Roy Lopez picked? Wasn't he picked?
Oh yeah, that's right. Last year, that's right.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
All right. So it's been a while that they've had a high draft pick.
Yeah.
Okay. So buy or sell. Arizona will have a 1st or 2nd round draft pick in the next 4 years in the NFL draft.
I'll buy it for one hyphenated word, and that's T-Mac. I think he would be the guy. Certainly. There might be more in there, but you look at McMillan, Tetaroa. I need to do a better job of pronouncing his name. Tetaroa McMillan. I just like calling him T-Mac. But yeah, at this point, it's kind of like when N'Keal Harry came to ASU. That guy had 1st or 2nd round pick written all over him. And I know that it hasn't worked well for him in the NFL, but I think T-Mac's the same way. He's a guy like Adam Gorney told us the other week. He's not the speediest guy who's going to get a lot of separation, but he can just go up and get the ball. And guys like that in the NFL are just as valuable as they are in college football. Guys who can just catch the ball, you toss it up to them and they're going to win those 50-50 matchups. So, it's hard to say without him playing a game yet, but I think if it wasn't for him, I'd probably sell it because it's just difficult to do. It's to be a top 64 pick.
Yeah.
But because he's there in an Arizona uniform, I'll buy it.
I want to say I probably should have phrased it and said anyone outside of him.
No, it's too late. Too late.
So Hunter Eccles, who is a transfer from USC, said next year I'm going in the 1st round. Okay. He tweeted that out. So that was kind of the basis behind that question.
Okay.
I wish Hunter well. I mean, he was a top recruit coming out of high school. I mean, maybe he shows off and shows something. So hopefully he's right. And Shane and I are underestimating. I would say I'd probably buy it just because of T-Mac. T-Mac is assuming he's the player we think he will be in 3 years, assuming he stays at Arizona for all 3 years, which we certainly hope. Yes, I would say that he would be a top 2-round draft pick. Okay, the last one, Shane. I don't know if you follow this guy, Big Game Boomer, on Twitter.
He makes up a bunch of
rankings. Yeah, a lot of them are BS. We'll say this was one that came out on Tuesday morning that I thought was interesting. Top 50 loudest college football stadiums of all time. LSU number 1, Penn State 2, Texas A&M 3. This is a list of 50. Number 50, Arizona. Do you buy or sell that Arizona is one of the 50 loudest stadiums in college football?
Yeah. First of all, we both know, I think everyone knows, this guy just makes up stuff. But he gets a great response, so he keeps doing it. So, he's almost like a troll that we keep responding to and just encourage. But with that said, so you posed the question. I will say that it can get very loud in that stadium. Absolutely. Yes. We've heard it get very loud in that stadium. Top 50, I'd have to think about. I could probably name 50 stadiums where it's probably the fan support is better. I mean, if you've asked me that question, after the 2014 season, I might have a different answer for you. But top 50, I don't know.
Of all time. This is not saying of 2021, because it'd be like the 3 quietest stadiums of 2021 was Arizona Stadium. But I mean, seriously.
Well, you know what though? You would do. I guess. I don't know what answer. I'll sell it just because the Arizona stadium is down right now and big time in attendance. But you would know better than I would, because you've been to a lot more games than I have. I've been to some, but not as many as you have in the stands.
I think now, listen, I haven't been to a lot of other college football stadiums. Unfortunately, I'd love to do that as I get older. I believe Arizona Stadium is absolutely one of the 50 loudest stadiums in the country. Okay. When it's rocking, and when the way I look at this list, if every stadium was sold out and the home team was doing well, which one's going to be among the loudest? Based on McHale Center, we know is absolutely one of the 20 or higher loudest stadiums in college basketball. The fan support is there when the team is good.
Yeah. You know what I always think back to? The end of the 2010 game against Iowa, where they had all those sacks at the end of the game.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It got loud. And if you go back and watch the video, I think it's on YouTube, you can actually hear just like a deafening roar on that last sack on YouTube. It was, and I was at that game and with my nephew, and it was off the charts loud at the very end of that game. Arizona was top 25. It was a sellout. The Arizona fans were competing with some of the Iowa fans to make more noise because there were a lot of Hawkeye fans there, because Arizona is Big Ten country. A lot of people, a lot of them live out here. That was so when it is packed and it's a big game, absolutely, it's one of the top 50. It just hasn't happened in a long time.
Right. So just I would love to see a sellout at some point. I mean, can you imagine Arizona's doing pretty well? We get a sellout for homecoming this year. Is it USC or Oregon? I can't remember.
You know what? If they're at least bowl contention, like 5 and 6 going to the ASU game, that'll be a sellout. Because even in 2016,
because the ASU's fans won't show up.
But well, who cares? But even in 2016, though, when Arizona was terrible and ASU they had lost 5 in a row, it wasn't a sellout, but it was very close. There were over 50,000 fans here. So I think that if Arizona is more competitive and if your prediction's right, they're going to be favored to win that game, then certainly I think that game will be a sellout.
Now, also remember, it's on Black Friday this year. And one thing about that day, and not that I'm big into it, but for this country in sports, it's USA England in the World Cup.
That's right. That's
true. So
true.
It's the only time this will ever happen that likely that it will have in our lifetimes that the World Cup will be around Thanksgiving, because it's being played in the Middle East. So you wonder if it's a day game, if U of A ASU is a day game, will that hurt attendance? If it's a night game, different. Okay. So anyways, just throwing that out there. All right. Coming up, a great conversation, hopefully with our buddy Scooby Wright. Looking forward to chatting with him. This was Buy or Sell, presented by Ice Shaker here on Wildcat Country.
What's up, Wildcat Country? Chris Grakowski here. Bear down. Let's go. I wanted to introduce you to the newest sponsor of the Wildcat Country podcast. That's the Ice Shaker. So check this out. Keep your drinks hot. Keep your drinks cold. We got you covered. Snag one today. Use coupon code Wildcat Country at iceshaker.com.
Shane, it's great to have our buddy Scooby Wright back on with us. But the last time we talked, he was becoming a firefighter. He was doing this UFC thing. And the next thing you know, The guy is like the breakout star of the USFL on an undefeated Birmingham team that's literally everywhere.
The only undefeated team left in the USFL.
That's right. And I mean, the play is awesome. I mean, it's actually really good quality of play. Scooby, how the hell did you go from aspiring firefighter and UFC guy to star linebacker once again? Just tell us how that whole thing went down.
Yeah, so I put my name. I think it was like right after I talked to you guys last or something. I got an email to put my name in the USFL draft pool, not thinking I was going to get drafted or anything. Like I was like, yeah, I just see what happens. So then I put my name in it, and kind of knew the draft was coming, but like wasn't going to pay attention to it. But then like 2 days before the draft, or the day before the draft, I get a call from my linebacker coach in DC, and he was like, "Hey, I still think you got a lot of tread left on tires, so why don't you come out and play some football?" So yeah. I was very fortunate to have him give me that opportunity.
Well, USFL is fortunate to have you, I think, but you consider, what you do on the field and your swag off the field. It's I don't know a better combination at the moment. So, Scooby, I know you and I talked after the Alliance of American Football folded with 2 weeks left in the season.
Oh yeah.
You went and did that, and then you go off to the XFL DC, and then
I saw him play, Shane. I saw Scooby play at one game. Before it went off, they played in LA. Yeah. And I actually went to that game. Okay. So that was kind of cool to see him play once again. All right.
And then of course seasons and the whole league folds because of COVID. And now here you are again. So I guess, and the league's going great. No sign that it's going to fold anytime soon, but just what was your mindset going into this? Like, cause I know you talk about controlling what you can control, right? Well, what's your mindset going into this league?
I don't know. I'm going to paraphrase this quote. I think it's fool me once, shame on you, or fool me twice, shame on you, or whatever.
Close enough.
Three times, something. That's kind of was my mindset a little bit. But no, I mean, a chance to go play football, and after having a little more life experience and doing other things and stuff, and having an opportunity to go back and do something that you love and passionate about, like, hell yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, and your last game, you've had 2 great games already for Birmingham. Your last one, that big play that everyone's talking about was 4th and goal. The one you leap over the line, you make the stop. You're mic'd up, and we get to hear what you talk about after. I mean, it's the whole thing was. This is great timing on this interview. We had already planned to talk to you, but this is great. So tell me what's going through your mind on that 4th and goal play, and how much you enjoyed that.
I don't know. I love 4th and goal. I don't know. To me, like 4th and goal is like bottom of the ninth, 3 and 2, and your 4 hitters up, like that's how I think about it in my head. So I've always loved that and stuff, and just kind of got to go out there and just play and do what you can and not let them score. I mean, that's where you got to. Yeah.
You're so humble off the field, man. You're such a beast on it. And you're just like, oh, shucks, I did what I had to do, man. It's just, you hit another gear when you, like every football player, I guess, right? When you take the field, you're a different guy.
I mean, you can't be walking around like a psycho when you're off the field. I mean, nobody likes that guy. People would probably think you're a serial killer.
You just you save it for where it's legal, then.
Yeah, exactly. For
I love it.
The mats in the field.
Do you still think you're the same player that you were in college and coming out of college? Do you think you still have it? I mean, you're the 4th leading tackler in the league, so obviously the stats show it. But do you personally feel like you still have what you had back then?
No, I don't, because I feel completely different, to be honest. I feel like a completely different player than what I was in college.
How so?
Just by things I'm asked to do. And just in college, we didn't, like, if someone were to go tell me to go play quarters coverage in college, I'd be like, I don't know that. We don't play that coverage. Because everything we played in college, I was always the low hole player or the read rush guy on the quarterback. So it was one of those things where I kind of had to transform my game into the NFL when in pro football, because in pro football, I wasn't asked to go line up on the edge. You got guys like Chandler Jones who get paid hundreds of $1 million to go do that. They're not going to put Scooby Wright, 6'0" ass out on the edge and go get a sack, and they're going to put you in coverage, go put you on a tight end or a back, and you're expected to win that battle, So, I mean, now I'm like, it's really the first time I feel comfortable in a playbook since not even feeling comfortable, just because I've played in this, I think this is my 8th playbook in 4 or 5 years, whatever, something like that, something crazy. And I came in not playing Mike linebacker, not knowing how to set a defense, not knowing how to fire zone coverage, none of that. So after being away and stuff, and just really just maturing as an adult, to be honest, and understanding and learning football better, like coverage and stuff, reading coverage in 3-2-1 reads. Okay, you're playing your different hooks and stuff. And I just feel like I'm actually seeing it. Like I should have had 2 picks already. I'm surprising myself when I see it because I've done those techniques in practice and stuff. I've seen it. And then now it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, boom, 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 make the play. Like, you know what you're doing. Stop being surprised. This is what you do now. This is what you're expected to do. So that's kind of where I feel like it's way different than how it was in college.
Oh, that's awesome. And that maturity, that you can say, 7 years post collegiate experience. I mean, that's really impressive to say that. So describe like the experience as far as this league as compared to, as Shane mentioned, the XFL, and then before that, the AAF. Would you say you're having more fun in this particular league? And if so, what is that locker room environment like with your Birmingham team?
It's great. This is honestly probably one of the funnest defenses I played on, just because there's guys who we just talk, we communicate, and we just like being around each other. I mean, the linebacker, D Gates, who plays next to me, he's a ball hawk. And he played safety in college at Ole Miss and stuff. So there's times when I ask him questions about coverage and stuff, and I'm learning from him. So like, he's a great tool for me just to learn stuff from. And I'm fortunate that he's one of my teammates. But and I think he's probably leading tackler in the league too, to be honest. If you look it up, he's probably number 3 or whatever. He's been having 10 plus tackles a game. But yeah, then the experiences, I feel like it was weird because in this, we only had a 3-week training camp. So it was really, that first game, I was like, whoa, we're playing in a football game. Like, like I hate to sound like that, but after a 2-year layoff, a lot of guys haven't played in a game just through pandemic and this and that. But so I'd say like the experience level, and I feel like it's only going to get better each week from here on out in the USFL, which is going to be exciting.
So Scooby, you were mic'd up for the last game, and I'm guessing that was the first time you've experienced that in your football career. Were you nervous about that at all? Like, were you eager for the opportunity to do that?
No, I've been mic'd up before. I was mic'd up with the Cardinals and stuff.
Okay.
I remember one time in a preseason game. That I was nervous for that though. I will say that, just because like, I don't know. I just didn't know. I just didn't talk. I was like my teammates. I was like, hey, don't talk to me like that. So I was just going to walk away.
Were you worried you were gonna throw a bunch of F-bombs out there or something? Or
no, not at all. No.
You just didn't. Like, you just weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't having as much fun as I am now. Just put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
now I'm having way more fun.
All right. I want to go back to your first game. You had at least from my perspective, a strip sack that was very similar to what you called the loudest moment at Arizona Stadium. Your strip sack of Taylor Kelly early in the 2014 Territorial Cup game. Yeah. Any flashbacks for you on that play, or what was that play like? Because that was probably your first big play of in the USFL, I think.
Yeah. So just going back to earlier, I mean, I was playing defensive end in that game, hand in the dirt. So now I was blitzing I was posted blitz front side A gap, but they slid to me, so I went back door and I made the play, and I was pretty much rushed like a weak side end. But when they're chasing down and saw the football and had to go get it. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, you're known for your strip sacks. Obviously, that one of Taylor Kelly, and then the Mariota one, which was a Thursday night game and I think that's probably the signature play when people nationally think of Scooby Wright, they think of that one. How do you feel about this newfound, I guess, old, stardom, on social media and you're the star, you're the face of this league, you're everywhere. The USFL on their Twitter feed is featuring you. How does that feel to be kind of that main face now?
No, all I know is last week they showed when I got ran over by some dude because my teammate hit him in 3. So sometimes you just gotta get more than you get got. I mean, that's if I'm being 100% honest. I mean, you can't pay attention to that stuff. It's not stardom. It's just, it all comes from playing good on the field. I mean, if you play crappy on the field, no one pays attention. If you play good on the field, okay, can you be consistent with that each week? Can you show up each week and handle not even the pressure, but just handle the expectations that you set for yourself?
I do have to ask you one kind of out of the box, quite not out of the box, but just kind of on the hot seat question. Do you think it's possible that we'll see you in an NFL training camp this August?
That's the goal. I wouldn't be here if that dream wasn't still alive. I mean, I'm 27 years old. I mean, shit, if Kurt Warner can go from bagging shelves or putting groceries on shelves, and James Harrison and John Randall, guys like that. I mean, weird things have happened, and and I believe in myself, and I believe that I can go get an opportunity. I believe I can go play.
So, we talked, like Eric mentioned a while ago, and you're doing your MMA and doing very well at that. And you're talking about becoming a firefighter. Are those still things down the road that you would like to do again?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's kind of crazy. I mean, people ask me what I do, and I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, former a lot of things, future some things. So it's kind of funny, but yeah, I 100% do. I mean, it's definitely. But right now, my goal is to get back in the NFL and keep playing well in the USFL.
I got two more for you. What do you think of Birmingham, Alabama? I mean, you go from Arizona to DC to the deep South. How do you like Alabama?
No, don't forget Cleveland too.
Cleveland, that's right. That's right.
And Foxborough. But it's great. It's honestly, I love it. It's like I like it a lot. Like the deep South, like the South is cool. It's pretty chill. People are nice. Food's good. No, it's a good atmosphere. I really like it.
You get a lot of compliments on your haircut down there too.
Yeah, it's definitely I've gotten called Morgan Wallen vibes a few times, so it is what it is.
My last thing for you, and for those who are watching, I got I'll show you. I got my Scooby auto here out of 10. Kind of cool. I got a 40 out of 49 and out of 10 here. So this is my feature. I feature
you need the 1 out of 1, Shane. Where's that 1 out of 1?
Well, I think we're going to learn from Scooby where the 1 out of 1 is. But we also learned just before we started recording that you're a bit of a card collector yourself. Tell us about some of your why you do it and some of your best cards.
Yeah. So how I got into it, it was just one of those things me and my dad did growing up. So that was really how I got into it. We would go look at a newspaper. I remember my dad and I was really young. I think one of like the first times we went, like a core memory, we went and there was a newspaper ad and we he circled it, went down the address and went and picked up like huge amount of boxes. I think we still have some that we haven't gone through. So we went and picked them up and just kept going through them. And slowly it was always one of those things when my sister would go to softball tournaments, we would look for card stores nearby. So that was one of the things. So, yeah,
tell us about some of your favorites. And by the way, if you need someone to flip through those boxes for you, I'd be more than happy to do that for you.
Of course.
Oh yeah, maybe one day we get down and do that, Shane. But yeah, some of my best cards. I got a Mickey Mantle card. I got a Barry Sanders rookie card, and then I have a Walter Payton rookie card, Urlacher rookie card. Yeah, and then I think I got them. Yeah, those are just some off the top of my head.
Well, now, do you have a Scooby rookie card?
Yeah, I got a handful of those. I think my mom does.
Your mom's got the 1-1, right?
Honestly, I think she has something like that. She has.
Okay.
I think she's like something like a 5 or 1. I remember she bought it.
Better, lower number than the one I have.
Yeah, but like that's still pretty good.
What do you remember about when they, don't they send you like a bunch of stickers to autograph, or like what's that process like just from a player's point of view?
Honestly, I would be sitting right here and be like talking to you guys, like talking to my parents or talking to whoever. I'd just sign them and just really just kind of multitask instead of scrolling on your phone or doing whatever. Like you just have that stack and write on a little sticker. I mean, it was strenuous. I mean, it was just one of those things. Like I remember when I was living in Miami, going to train at Pete Bomarito's, I would really go train all day from like 8 to 3 and take a little nap, eat dinner, and just sign for a couple of hours and do it all again.
A couple hours.
Oh yeah. I think I had to do like 15,000 or something.
What?
I think.
Goodness.
Yeah. I think because I remember my card deal was pretty good when I came out, so I had to do like. Yeah, I want to say it was like 15,000 signatures.
Wow.
Well, this must have been early in the process because this signature looks pretty good. It looks like it's before you got tired.
Honestly, I saw it when you looked at it when I see it. So that is probably very late in the process.
Oh, is it?
The W. It's
the Scooby looks good. The Scooby looks good though.
Yeah, that looks. I mean, there are guys that sign like a letter, and it's so annoying. You're like, come on, man.
Here are your initials.
Did they ever?
Well, because I originally was going to do. I think some of them I signed even S. Wright, and I did the other thing. And I remember talking to my dad. He was like, "Nah, dude, like you got to sign Scooby W. You got to make sure people see the Scooby because that's like I don't know." He just said, I just remember him telling me that when I was going through the stuff. So
that's how people know you.
Yeah.
That's great. Can you imagine, Shane? Can you imagine? Like, I don't think I've signed my name 15,000 times in my life, much less in like a couple of sittings.
I did one autograph signing for my first book, and I signed like maybe 30, and that was enough. I was tired of it. So I
was just say your hands got to hurt. Now you see why these guys, why they get paid so much. Okay. For these card deals. All right. Scooby, questions for you. First of all, Jedfish and the Arizona program. I don't know if you've been paying attention the last few months. They got the #1 class in the Pac-12. How crazy is that to you that a team coming off a 1-11 season got the #1 recruiting class in the conference?
I mean, props to that staff. I mean, when I went down there a few weeks ago, it was unbelievable. Or not a few weeks ago, a few months ago now, how unbelievable that staff is and how well organized they have their things in place. So I think the sky is the limit. I mean, if you look back at, when's the last time Arizona's finished in with the top class like that? Have they ever had a recruiting class like
Not
that?
to my recollection, no.
I mean, they were in the top 25 early in Stoops in the Stoops years.
They've had some good ones, but top of the Pac-12,
So my going in after my sophomore year, I think we had a fairly decent recruiting class, right? I think we had, because that was when we had like Marcus Griffin, 5-star guy, the Jamadre Cobb, and all those guys who were like, or not.
It was okay,
Cobb, but like, but there was, I remember we had like some 5-star guys coming in and like, I don't know, it was just interesting how it panned out. So, I mean, hopefully they get there and they develop the guys. I mean, that's the main thing is like, you can do that. But like, I think the biggest thing in college football now is, can you get the guys to stay there? Are they going to go to the transfer portal? Are they going to do that? Are they going to go to money?
Yeah.
Or what's going on?
It's a whole new world now.
Yeah. Like you can say you have a top 5 whatever recruiting class, but okay, how many guys are those going to stay there? How many of those guys are going to pan out? How many of the guys are going to sit there and develop and put in work every single day? So
you think about the NIL opportunities you would have had down there. I mean, it's crazy to think. I would have had a bar named Scooby's. I would have had a bar named Scooby's written down on West 6. I mean, you heard it right there. All right, last question for you. We sent you an ice shaker. They are a sponsor, courtesy of our buddy Chris Gronkowski. You have it right there. Just tell us about your experience with the ice shaker and just kind of give a little sales pitch for everybody out there.
I love my ice shaker. Fun fact, when I trained with Glenn Gronkowski, everybody, when we were trained together, people thought I was the other Gronk brother. So it's kind of funny. But yes, I love my ice shaker. It is very good. I use it every day. I am a veteran to the ice shaker game, by the way.
That is awesome right there. I mean, you heard it, guys. Got to go get your ice shakers. Scooby, I actually have a bonus question just because I can't stop asking.
Get ready, Scooby.
No, this isn't bad. When you were in Tucson, I forgot, when you were in Tucson the other month, they treated you. I mean, it was like you were all over the social media. I mean, they treated you like royalty. Just what was that experience like for you going back?
I wasn't even expecting that at all. I literally could have hit up Coach Saunders, like, hey, Coach, can I come say what's up and stop by the facility? Like, just on some real, like, low-key stuff. I just wanted to see the field, to be honest, and see if they had my trophy case stuff. Not even thinking I'd meet Coach Fish or nothing. But, I walk in, and Coach Saunders, met him, met the secretaries, met everything. And then I remember I walk in the defensive staff room, and their whole entire coaching staff was there, and they had some pictures written up on some pictures of me, like a little like PowerPoint type deal thing. And that was pretty cool. I mean, it was cool. I mean, it was honestly that experience couldn't have been more perfect to what led me to the USFL.
That's awesome. Scooby, as Shane and I mentioned, we had our 100th show last week. We said that you're one of our favorite guests that we have on, and we truly mean that and appreciate you always coming on with us. Great to catch up with you. Congrats on your success. And obviously, we'll stay in touch. Love to have you on again before the season and before the college season, just to kind of talk U of A stuff and wrap the USFL up. And best of luck, my friend.
Yeah, no doubt. I appreciate you guys. It's always a pleasure.
Want to thank our friend Scooby Wright, Shane. I mean, that was as good of an interview as probably we have had. Just one that I've really enjoyed in quite a while on this show.
You know what I forgot to ask him was what year is his Mickey Mantle card?
Yeah, right?
It was 52 rookie card. I mean,
I don't think he has a 52 Mickey Mantle.
He'd have to play football ever again.
Yeah, right. But I mean, you see, just like it's one. Just as we kind of previewed, Shane, it was just one of those interviews where it's just like guys sitting around a bar talking. It's great.
Yeah, I love it.
I always appreciate having Scooby on, and there's nothing more that I'd like to see than him in an NFL training camp in a few months. That would be great, and it would give us a lot to talk about. One thing I just want to quickly talk more about before the end of the show, the NIL situation. ASU keeps losing players. I know they are forming their own NIL situation there, which will help.
Friends of Sparky probably, or something like that.
Something comparable to that. Yeah, they're gonna form that here coming up, but they've gotten crushed. Arizona has a really good thing going on with Friends of Wilma and Wilbur or something, whatever it's called.
Yep.
I know we're going to try to have somebody on next week to talk more about this, who's more of an expert. What can be done to stop this NIL craziness? Do you have a solution that can maybe curb this? Because I actually thought of one.
Okay, well, I'll leave it to you because I don't have a solution. I like we've talked about, student athletes being able to profit off of their name, image, and likeness. I'm all for it. Like Sam Thomas, for example.
Yep.
I had her on. I talked to her. I think you weren't available for that one a few months ago. And she said it's great to have a little extra money because she has her clothing line. She writes a blog now. She said it's great to have a little extra money for Christmas and buy Christmas gifts for her family. That's fantastic. I love that. Dalen Terry's got his own clothing line now too. That's all fun. But basically, all the stuff, you remember that movie Blue Chips with Nick Nolte back in the day? All that stuff that went on then, like the Friends of the Program stuff, Hush Hush, it's all legal now. Basically, the university is paying them indirectly. And this was the inevitable conclusion to this. And unless I don't know if Congress is going to step in, what they could do, if it's going to be challenged by the Supreme Court, but it's unfortunate the direction it's going. And I wonder how it's because Arizona football, they've gotten their recruits. I don't think it's really been much to do with the NIL. It's because they I'm sure it has, and I think they're on top of their game as far as that goes. But I think that the main draw has been coaches who have been in the NFL and they want to get to that next level and make money at that level, which is unless you're at like Alabama what you're making in the NIL deal is peanuts compared to that. So I'm hoping that doesn't derail Arizona's recruiting efforts, and maybe it helped a little bit, but I don't think that's been the biggest thing. Even before then, last year, Jedd Fisch brought in some impressive guys. So, but yeah, this whole again, student athletes making money off their name, absolutely. This Friends of the Program nonsense, I hope it ends soon, one way or the other.
So the reason it's really in the forefront this week is Miami's best player of basketball, Isaiah Wong, is like, basically, I'm not being paid enough. I got you guys to the Elite Eight. I'm not being paid enough. I need a raise and the sponsor, I don't remember who it is down there, is like, no, I'm already giving you something. You take what you've got. The NCAA, in my opinion, has to make a rule where you cannot be paid separate NIL deals with two different schools in consecutive years. So unless you're a grad transfer. So if you're an underclassman, you like Quinn Ewers at Ohio State. This guy he left high school early, got paid $1 million to go to Ohio State, didn't play a snap, went to Texas, going to start for them immediately, and is going to get paid millions of dollars to be Texas's starting quarterback. Shouldn't be allowed. There should be a 1 year, if you transfer, you are not allowed to get any NIL money for that year, or you are deemed ineligible.
Well, let me ask you this too. And that I'm sure that's going to be challenged in courts. So everything we're talking about would have to pass constitutional muster. And that's beyond my pay grade. But if it was possible, would you set a cap on the amount of money that a student athlete can make in a given year?
Yeah. That's interesting. And it would definitely level the playing field, let's say. So we'll have somebody on at some point. Shane and I are working on it, to bring someone on to talk more about the NIL deals and what the future of college athletics will look like. And as Shane said, probably all the court cases that will go along with it. But great show, a lot of great discussion. Great to have on Scooby Wright. He's just always a blast and just very candid with us. And I got to know him a little bit more with the card collecting. Who would have thought? So great stuff. Shane, as always, appreciate it. For Shane Dale, I'm Eric Cohen. Thanks for listening. And as always, bear down.